he kind of fell off the radar a little bit, but sweet November, you never know.
How quick things can change in November. We were just getting ready to pack up. Had my bow at the base of the tree. If you remember back a couple of weeks, I was talking about a one-eyed buck that had a messed up rack. Big old mature deer. That was him.
Coming into November felt the same as did the arrival of Christmas vacation when we were young, a time of expectation, enthusiasm, and celebration. The weather has been perfect, and the action followed suit. Let's begin with Jared Mills' awesome hunt from November 1st. Taking a break from the pursuit of the giant mystery buck he's been hunting, Jared gives his full attention to the farm he and Mike Reed own.
Alright, sweet November. It's here and it's hard to believe. We're set up on Mike and I's farm in a really cool spot back in the peninsula. We haven't hunted the stand since 2017. As you can see, we got some nice snow from yesterday, making it a lot easier to see throughout this peninsula, see deer moving through. Once again, the primary target is Merino. He's historically spent a lot of time moving through this little block over my right shoulder, so just hoping we can lay our eyes on him for the first time this year. Man, that buck is on that doe hard. He keeps stopping to run off another buck. Slide your lip, slide your right knee. Man, what a morning. It has been chaos in here, for lack of a better term. I mean, I don't know if the video's gonna do it justice, but Grant and I, our heads have been on a swivel all morning, deer running everywhere. That's the buck that we were calling Andrew Luck. Didn't expect him to see him back here, but I mean, he's down 60 yards away. He came running through too quick earlier. I didn't know if we were gonna get another chance. Luckily, he came back. He's a cool buck. There's a lot of velvet pictures of him, and he kind of fell off the radar a little bit, but Sweet November, you never know. Man, that's awesome. What a morning. November 1st. All the snow on the ground. That was fun. There's the arrow. Kind of blends in with these sticks and the snow. It's gonna be an easy track job with this snow. And look at the range of blood. There's like, it's like a 7-foot swath. He's awesome. Sweet frame on him, those long beams. Man, you gotta love November. Grant and I have hunted hard throughout the entire month of October, and all we needed was that calendar to flip a page, and we were able to put a buck on the ground November 1st. And what a morning it was, just your classic cold November rut morning. This deer was actually a surprise when he first showed up on camera this summer. To our knowledge, Mike and I don't have any history with him, but we were getting him very regularly in velvet this summer and late into the summer too. And then after he shed his velvet, we were still getting some pictures, and we thought we were gonna have a really good chance at him early season, and we thought we had a good setup for him. But then he just disappeared, and we weren't getting any pictures of him. We thought maybe with crops coming out he'd come back in, but he didn't. We got maybe a couple pictures right on the edge of the farm, but that was it. So to see him this morning was a surprise as well. Grant spotted him from, I don't know, 150 yards out, messing with some does. Like I said, I can't say it enough, just your typical November rut morning, bucks chasing, cruising, just non-stop action late into the morning, and having mature deer come in to cap it off. It's just hard to beat that. So this is my first buck on my farm, my first time using the landowner buck tag, so that's pretty cool. Now it's time to focus on the big deer and also try to get Grant his first Iowa buck. So that's what we're gonna spend our time doing. Obviously a lot of good hunting left ahead of us, so it's hopefully just the beginning of a fun ride. November's here, and it feels good to have a buck on the ground.
The morning of November 1st was snow-covered and beautiful in the central Iowa river bottom timber, a classic rut hunt. Jared wasn't the only member of our team to take a great buck on November 1st. Hunting in eastern Iowa, Warren Dykstra and his son Matt were also enjoying the fresh snowfall and the fast rut action.
Yes! Yes! We've been waiting all year for that. That's Muley. We've been hoping to get on him. We had one encounter with him last year. It's been a wonderful set. Wow. This is so great to finally put my hands on him. We've got history with this buck from last year. We saw him when we were sitting in a redneck out in the middle of the field, came out one night. It was exactly a year ago today. It was kind of funny that it happened exactly a year. But this year, he'd gotten bigger. We knew he was a 4.5-year-old deer. What a beautiful deer. We'd been getting pictures of him on a scrape on the other side of this cornfield. So we knew he was in this area. And then last night on the way to the tree, we saw him chasing a doe. It couldn't have worked out any better. We had does come in and he was chasing does around. He made a scrape. So blessed to be able to do what we get to come out here and do. We couldn't be happier. Thanks for watching Midwest Whitetail.
Warren and Matt have been pro staff members at Midwest Whitetail since almost the beginning. We have followed their ups and downs closely over the years on the Midwest Whitetail Heartland series. It is great to now be able to celebrate with them as their dedication to the sport and to helping other bow hunters pays off with a great buck. Drake Lamb films my hunts and edits my daily video blogs. It is a brutal schedule. Hunt all day, edit all evening, post to the daily blog channels, go to bed, get up early, and do it all again. As we all do, Drake needs time away. What do you suppose Drake does when he gets a couple of days off? Yep, he goes deer hunting. Given the intense grind of November, Drake lost touch with some of the properties he had scouted prior to the season, and instead shifted his efforts to one of the small farms he had permission on close to his home. That is where we find him on the morning of November 4th, winging it, hunting stands that he and intern Tyler Niedergall carried in and hung in the dark.
It's about 10:30, and I think we're gonna wrap it up for this morning's hunt. It's been pretty slow overall. Saw a couple 2 and 3 year old bucks, but I think we're gonna tear these stands down and walk further down here because it seems like all the deer have been working that edge of the creek. And so probably the next time we come and hunt that, we'll be right there, kind of where they're all congregating right there. So Sweet Farm is probably my favorite farm that I have permission on this year. Just a bunch of wooded draws and just rolling hills of CRP. I think it's gonna be a good spot. We just gotta keep learning it, and I think we'll eventually run into a mature buck. Crap, Tyler, deer right here. I gotta get my bow back. This one's bigger. I might shoot that deer. Come down here, I'm gonna shoot him. I know. Matt. Yeah, go ahead.
Dang it. He jumped that arrow. I gotta get another one in him. Oh my gosh. I think he ducked my arrow pretty good. But I got a second arrow in him real quick, and he's done now. But man, it just goes to show how quick things can change in November. We were just getting ready to pack up. Had my bow at the base of the tree. 3-year-old came in. We just happened to look down to the right, and here came this big buck. I mean, he wore me out right there. I mean, he's probably stood there for like 5 minutes. We got public land up to our north. Big creek bottom back here behind us. And it's just a perfect funnel. This ridge dumps off right here. All these big draws and stuff, everything kind of funnels down into this little creek bottom, and that was our point coming in here. We're just like, well, it's a good funnel, you know. But that's awesome. I'm ready to go down and go get him.
What a tank. Alrighty, well, we just got him tagged up, cleaned up, and drug up the hill here. And like I said, I could not be more happier to wrap my tag around this buck. This is what we live for in November 4th. So as far as tags for me, I've still got another Missouri buck tag that opens up, I think, November 22nd, something like that. So I could get back down there and maybe make a few hunts before the season ends. If not, December 18th, I think, is when late muzzleloader starts here in Iowa. So I'll definitely have another tag, and hopefully, you know, we can get back after some of these deer that I've got on camera, and, you know, maybe a surprise buck or two along the way. But either way, awesome way to close out my bow season. Couldn't be happier, and just looking forward to late season.
With these great hunts to serve as inspiration, the rest of us keep the accelerator mashed to the floor. Josh Honeycutt, who spends most of his time in Kentucky, made a brief trip to Ohio where he encountered a great buck.
Well, albeit brief, we just had an encounter with the tall 9 here in Ohio. When I first saw him, he was actually on a neighboring property, and then he got a lot closer and kept getting closer and kept getting closer, and finally made it onto us. We're gonna stick with it. You know, they're obviously doing their thing. It's that time of year, and it's the time of year we all live for.
Unfortunately, circumstances back home forced Josh to cut the trip short. Back in Kentucky, Josh has struggled to find any of the good bucks he watched during the summer. Hunting in southern Iowa, Owen Riegler has also been struggling more than usual. Starting off the month of November targeting the ancient buck he calls Digits, Owen goes back to the walnut tree stand he hunted so often last season while pursuing another giant, one that he eventually tagged. Digits hasn't been nearly as visible as that buck, at least not yet. Owen's other top target is a deer he calls Picket Fence. This buck has been giving Owen fits. He is still active in the area, but never when Owen is on stand. The hunt for Picket Fence is the very definition of cat and mouse. There is still plenty of season left, and it is likely that before it is done, Owen and one of these two bucks will eventually be in the same place at the same time. Josh Sparks and Max Mongrello continue their pursuit of mature bucks on public land. As good as the public can be in Iowa, this is still no easy accomplishment. The journey has taken them across the southern half of the state, from adrenaline-charged highs to discouraging lows. With all the close calls that Josh and Max have had, their trail camera only added to the misery, showing them one more. Little by little, the bow hunters are finding areas that have been overlooked by other hunters, and this endless search eventually brings them to a spot that they can only access by boat. The effort pays off with multiple encounters on the very first sit. Josh and Max are getting close now. With this new area and the fact that the pressure from other hunters is starting to drop off, it is very likely that we will see grip and grin photos from these two very soon. If you remember last week's episode, we all shared in the celebration as Mike Reed shot his biggest buck to date. After that exciting hunt, Mike shifted his efforts to his farm, where he tried to find the giant-bodied buck he calls Sherman. With the disappearance of this brute, Mike heads back to the river farm, where he encounters a huge buck. Though Mike passed up the great non-typical, hoping he survives another season, he has second thoughts. Their farm is not big, and no one else in that area is going to pass up a buck like that. To take his mind off the dilemma, Mike heads to the urban zone near his eastern Iowa home, an area where he has seen and tagged some very good bucks over the years.
I keep seeing different deer, I think.
I am working all day tomorrow, but we'll be back out on Tuesday, and we'll definitely be spending some time going after Merino. Sherman seems to have disappeared off the cameras. I haven't had him on camera for the last 11 or 12 days, so I'm going to focus on Merino until Sherman maybe shows back up, and I'll continue to bounce between those two deer.
Since returning from my home turf in northeast Iowa, I've been enjoying action-packed hunts, highlighted by an encounter with an old buck I have called the tube buck on Tuesday morning. I followed that the next morning with a very close call on another old-timer, a buck with a blind eye and a messed up rack that slipped away by the skin of his ground-down teeth.
Here comes that one-eyed buck. That's a shooter. Are you on him?
Yeah,
No.
No, we're screwed.
I can see him.
I've got no more shots. That was the buck. That was the buck that we came in here trying to find. If you remember back a couple of weeks, I was talking about a one-eyed buck that had a messed up rack. Big old mature deer. That was him.
But I have an ace in the hole. There's a 9-acre field of standing corn on the farm that I haven't hunted. I've been saving it for the tail end of the rut, when the bucks are worn down and looking for much-needed energy. That is when and where I believe my payday will come. I will keep hunting other spots, but I'm not going to be overly disappointed if this coming week doesn't produce a filled tag. I believe my best days are still ahead. Our teams enjoyed many other successful hunts this past week. We just couldn't fit them all into this weekly episode, but you can watch them on the Midwest Whitetail Regional channel on YouTube or by going to the MidwestWhitetail.com website. As good as this past week was, there will likely be a letdown as we approach the middle of November, the infamous lull in the rut. The clock is certainly ticking for many of our bow hunters as their vacation time and the best days of the rut slip by, and opening day of the firearm season looms ahead. The rut is always a race against time, as those who are still holding tags try to make the most of each precious day. Now it is all about finding the does, hoping that one of them is in estrus. Find that doe, and you will think there is a buck behind every bush. If not, you may wonder if there are any bucks left in the whole county. These stories and more will continue to unfold right here every week. We appreciate you joining us on this journey. We will see you right back here again next week for the next episode of Midwest Whitetail, and remember to always dream